Hello everyone. In today's class we will see serial communication. The first topic is basics of serial communication. The computer transfers data in two ways. As we know, when a microprocessor or microcontroller communicates with the outside world, it provides data in byte size. So in some cases, such as the example is printer, in which the information is it takes from a 8-bit data bus and it gives the output to the 8-bit data bus of the printer. That is, it is going to be presented to the 8-bit data bus of the printer. So this can work only if cable is not too long. That is, if the cable is short, this can work. Since long cables diminish and even it can distort the signal or corrupt the signal. Therefore, and also an 8-bit data path is very expensive because it requires more components. So for all these reasons, a serial communication is used for transferring the data between the two systems located at a longer distance. That is, if the distance is more, a preferred communication is a serial communication. So the diagram shows a serial communication or serial transfer versus parallel data transfer. So here the serial communication uses a single data line instead of 8 bits. As you can see from the figure, that is sender to the receiver. From the sender to the receiver, there is only one single wire or one single line. So the serial communication uses a single data line instead of as shown in the other one, that is parallel data transfer, in which from sender to the receiver we have 8 different lines, D0 to D7. So 8 lines required. So 8-bit data line of a parallel communication not only makes it so serial communication, as it uses a single line, so it not only makes a serial communication cheaper, but also it enables two computer located in two different cities to communicate over a telephone. So as it is a very cheaper one, it can establish a communication with a very low cost. So for serial data communication to work, the byte of data must be converted to serial bits using a parallel in serial out, that is PISO shift register. So remember here, for a serial data communication, to establish a byte of data must be converted to serial bits using a PISO, that is parallel in serial out shift register. Then it can be transferred over a single data line. It will be a medium will be a single line, so the data will be transferred on that single line. So this means that at the receiving end there must be a serial in parallel out shift register, that is opposite. So at the receiving end a serial data is incoming and it has to be converted into parallel data, that is serial in parallel out shift register must receive the serial data and pack them into the bytes. So after receiving the serial data, it has to be packed. So if the data is to be transferred on the telephone line, it must be converted from 0 to 1s, 0 and 1s. So whenever you want to transfer the data on a telephone line, first what you have to do, that is you have to convert zeros and ones into audio tones, which are going to be a sinusoidal shaped signals. Then this conversion is performed by peripheral, that is nothing but a modem is used to convert this, which is stands for the modem is nothing but a modulator and demodulator. That is, so when the distance is short, the digital signal can be transferred as it is on a simple wire. If the distance is very short, there is no need of any arrangement. You can transfer directly using simple wire, and it requires no modulation. But this is the example is the IBM keyboard. For computer, the data is transferred from a keyboard without any modulator. That is, directly the data is transferred with the cable or wire to the motherboard. But for the long distance data transfer using communication lines such as telephone, serial data communication requires modem. That is, to modulate, that is nothing but a convert zeros and ones from zeros and ones to the audio tones. Then demodulator, that is converting audio tones back to the zero and ones. A modulator, demodulator, that is in short modem, is required for a long distance communication. Serial data communication uses two methods, that is asynchronous and synchronous. There are two methods of serial data communication. The synchronous method transfers block of data, that is characters. The synchronous method transfers block of data at a time. So remember, synchronous method transfers the data at a time, while asynchronous method transfers single byte at a time. So this is the difference between the synchronous and asynchronous. So it is possible to write software to use either of the methods, but the programs can be very tougher and long. So for this reason, there are special IC chip, that is integrated chips, made by the different manufacturers for the serial data communication. So these chips are going to be commonly referred as UART, that is nothing but Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. And one more is there, that is USART, USART, that is Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. Next topic is half and full duplex transmission. In data transmission, if the data can be transmitted and received, it is a duplex transmission. That is, so in any data transmission, if the data can be transmitted and received, both operations, if it is performed, it is called as duplex. So this is, we are comparing with the simplex transmission. For example, that is printer, in which computer sends the data to the printer. This is one-way communication. So the diagram is shown. Simplex, transmitter transmits the data, receiver receives the data. Only one-way communication from transmitter to receiver. The best example is printer. That is, computer sends the data, computer acts as a transmitter, then receiver is nothing but a printer. The second one is the half duplex. Here both operations, that is transmission as well as receiving, is possible, but one at a time. That is, a transmitter can transmit the data and the other side receiver can receive. Then other operation, reverse operation, also can take place, but this is only one at a time. That is duplex transmission. On half duplex, duplex transmission can be either half duplex or full duplex. That is depending upon whether or not the data transfer can be simultaneous. If the data is transmitted one way at a time, it is referred as half duplex. If the data can go through both the ways at a time, both transmitting and receiving, that is as full duplex, you can observe the figure, transmission from one end and receiving at other end, and one more transmission and receiving. Two different wires are required here. So that is, if the data transmitted both the sides at the same time, so it is called as full duplex. So full duplex requires two wire conductors for the data lines, in addition to the signal and signal ground, one for transmission and one for reception. So in order to transfer and receive the data simultaneously. Next one, start and stop bits. So asynchronous serial communication and data framing, in which the data coming in at the receiving end of the data line in a serial data transfer is all zeros and ones. So it is difficult to make sense of the data unless the sender and receiver agree on a set of rules, that is nothing but a protocols. So it is called as a protocol on how the data is packed. So how many bits constitute a character, and when data begins and when data ends. So all these has to be taken into account. What is the size of the data, what is the actual data, when the data transfers, when the data starts, and when the data ends. So for that purpose we need to discuss a start and stop bit. A protocol is set of rules agreed by both the sender and receiver, that is how the data is packed, how many bits constitute a character, when the data begins and ends. So asynchronous serial data communication is widely used for character oriented transmissions, while block oriented data transfer use the synchronous method. In the asynchronous method, each character is placed between start and stop bits. So remember here, in the asynchronous method, that each and every character will be placed between the start bit and the stop bit. So this method is called as framing. So in data framing for asynchronous communications, the data, for example, that is ASCII characters, American Standard Code for Information Interchange, ASCII characters are packed between start bit and a stop bit. So remember here, ASCII characters are packed between the start bit and the stop bits. So the start bit is always 1 bit. Remember here, the start bit is always 1 bit, but the stop bit can be 1 bit or it can be 2 bits. So you can observe the figure here. Figure shows the framing of ASCII character, that is a framing of ASCII character A, whose ASCII value in hexadecimal is 41H, is shown in the figure. So the start bit is always 1 bit, but the stop bit can be either 1 bit or 2 bits. The start bit is always a 0, as you can see in the figure. The start bit, it is mentioned as start bit only. So you can observe the way it is a low, that is 0, and the stop bit, you can observe other side, the stop bit, it is high. For example, look at the example in the figure, in which ASCII character, that is A is represented as 41H in ASCII. So its 8-bit binary value is 01000001. So this is going to be framed between the start bit and a single stop bit. So we are considering here only single stop bit. We are not considering 2 stop bits here. So you can also consider 2 stop bits, but here in this example it is considered as single stop bit. So you can notice the LSB is sent out first. So it is also mentioned least significant bit, that is goes out first, that is the start bit. So start bit goes out. So you can observe in the figure, when there is no transfer, the signal is high, that is signal is 1, which is called as mark. The mark signal, when there is no transfer, the signal is 1 or high, which is referred as a mark. And the 0, that is this side, other end, low, is referred as a space. The 0 is referred as space. So whenever there is no transfer, so these mark and space are used. Again notice the transmission begins with a start bit. The next transferred bit is going to be the LSB bit, which is nothing but the D0 bit. which is 1 in this case, that is nothing but a LSB. So then followed by the rest of the bits. First D0 is sent out, then next D1, D2, D3, so on up to D7. D7 is the most significant bit, and then finally one stop bit, that is indicating the end of a character A. The last sent signal or a character is a stop bit, which is a uh, last bit which goes out. So in synchronous serial communication peripherals, chips and modems can be programmed for data that is 7 or 8 bits wide. So due to the extended ASCII characters, 8-bit ASCII data is common. So in the earlier older systems, ASCII characters were 7-bit. In modern PCs, we use one stop bit is standard. So we are not going to use the two stop bits, only one bit we are using, that is nothing but it is a standard. In older systems, due to the slowness of the receiving mechanical device, two stop bits were used, so to give the device sufficient time to recognize itself before transmission of the next byte. But that is not a problem nowadays. You can use only one stop bit, that is enough. Assuming that we are transferring a text file of a ASCII character using a one stop bit, we have a total of 10 bits for each character. That as we are using only one start bit and one stop bit, and one ASCII character requires 8 bits, so total 10 bits. So this gives, to transfer 8-bit data we require two more extra bits. So that's why this gives 25% overhead, that is each 8-bit character requires with an extra 2 bits. In some system, in some systems, in order to maintain data integrity, the parity bits of the character byte is included in the data frame. That is, UART chip allows programming of the parity bit for odd, even, and no parity options. There are you can also include a, in order to maintain data integrity, parity bit is also going to be included in the data frame. So UART, that is universal asynchronous receiver transmitter chip, allow programming of the parity bits. Either you can use for odd parity, even parity, or a no parity option. All the three options you have. Data transfer rate. So as we know, the rate of data transfer is in serial communication is stated as BPS, that is bits per second. So we usually use this statement how to measure the rate of data transfer in the serial communication, so which is nothing but the bits per second. So there is one more which is called as baud rate. So another widely used terminology for BPS is baud rate. It is modem terminology and is defined as the number of signals changes per second. So the baud rate is nothing but it is a modem terminology, and it is defined as the number of signal changes per second. So in modems, there are occasions when a single change of signal transfers several bits of data. So as far as the conductor wire is concerned, the baud rate and the bits per second, that is BPS, are the same, and we use the term interchangeably. Either you can use the baud rate or bits per second. The data transfer rate of given computer system depends on communication ports incorporated into the system. So the data transfer rate, whatever the rate of transfer of data is there, so it depends on the communication ports, which communication ports that you have in your system. So in the IBM PC /XT could transfer data at the rate of 100 bps to 9600 bps. Pentium based personal computers transfer data at rates as high as 56 kilo bps. So in synchronous serial data communication, the baud rate is limited to 100 kilo bps. Thank you for watching the video.